Hello, everyone. Hi, Matt. You
Hello.
okay?
I'm super. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this session, and I'm feeling great. Thank you, Chris.
Good stuff. So we can see people are already jumping on the call, which is amazing. We've got some people already talking in the chat.
Yeah,
Hello to Sophie, Johan, Nirmal. Hopefully, I've said that name correctly.
Nirmal.
Annette is
Yeah.
typing. Harry's typing. This is a great start.
Mhm.
So we'll
Awesome.
probably leave it 1 minute for people who are waiting to join. I'm sure finishing their meetings. And hi, Lauren. Hi, Keshav. Apologies if I got your name wrong. Um, oh, yes, some awesome. Yes, awesome. Right, it's two
Mhm.
minutes past. I anticipate a few more people will join, but they will not get my introduction. So let's kick things off. So, welcome everyone to the Evolution Nordics Exchange. Today, I'm joined by Mats Johansson, who's a friend of Evolution, and we are so honored to have him here. Here at Evolution, we are passionate about two things: adding value to the Nordics tech community and helping customers scale with awesome freelancers. Today, we'll be looking at the former. We
Mhm.
are listing via webinar today, but this will also be available on the fastest growing Nordic Tech podcast, and the links will be below, or we'll be giving at some point. Today, we're discussing with Matt from software engineer to engineering manager. And yeah, we've got some questions. So if you have any questions along the line, please use the chat function on the right hand side, and I will endeavor to make sure I ask Matt the questions. But as you can imagine, I've already got some things lined up for him. So, Matt, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you so much. Um,
Perfect. So, Mats, for people who don't know you, I'm assuming a lot of the IKEA people who are logged in already know a bit about you, but let's assume there's some people on here that don't work at
yeah.
IKEA currently. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. I'll start with that. So my name is Mats Johansson. I am originating from Småland, outside of Älmhult, where IKEA was founded, in a small village called Eneryda. Very close to Agunnaryd and Enteryd, which is one with the two villages connected to abbreviation of IKEA. So when I grew up, I always kind of been thinking that this place is not big enough for me. I need to go out and see the world somehow. But still, I had a very strong family connection. So if I could kind of work with the biggest company in the region and see the world, but still have a connection to my family and my home, that would be the most awesome thing to have. So when I grew up more and more, and especially when I went to high school, to actually go into to study in Älmhult, then the town in that area, I got exposed to more of the IKEA world. Just seeing the big IKEA campus, all the IKEA companies there. My older brother's friends who was working there, especially in IT, was just giving me so much inspiration that this is actually probably the future for me. I mean, here I could have a shot at working here and then see the world, and then just kind of get that out of me in my system, that to really be something with myself, and to potentially also have a good career. So that, in combination with that, I'm a gamer by heart. Started already back in the 90s, when I got my cousin's first computer, just trying to max out the spec on that computer to play as many games as possible. It just made me feeling that, or it started to then grow, that combination of working with computers and working at IKEA potentially could be an option here. And so already then, when I was 13 years old, and I got inspired by one of my brother's friends, who really made a good career as a software engineer at IKEA that this is probably the right thing for me. So I decided then, when I was 13, that in 10 years, I will do whatever he does. So I set up a goal, and then I started to focus on it. And 10 years later, at the age of 23, then I got my first software engineer job at IKEA. So I made it through. So that's kind of the start, at least, of my journey here.
Okay, so you're living both your dream and you're doing your passion as well.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, the passion, not only with working with the company that I love, IKEA, is also working with the website. I started to build websites already, also in the 90s, and me and my friend, we became pretty good at it, actually. So, and we did this for fun. We created websites for friends and families and our football club and whatnot. So just to kind of combine this was just amazing and great. And now I'm heading the subdomain at IKEA in technology that is delivering the web platform. So I'm living the dream, I would say. That's for sure.
And for people who don't know that domain, how big is it?
So right now it's roughly 100 people in my domain that is working then across with product management, with engineering, with data and UX. But of course, the majority is in engineering, where I'm accountable. But I'm also acting product manager as well for the area. So I'm both kind of finding the problems, prioritizing the problems, and also then trying to make sure that we can solve them as well. So I'm talking with myself quite a lot at the moment, and but it makes it takes not so much time to take a decision. So that's good, at least for now.
So you've told us about the aspiration to want to work with IKEA,
Yeah.
aspiration to be a software developer. The thing we're missing though is what is a tech person, yeah, wanting to go down the engineering manager route and look after these large domains. Yeah. Tell us about that part of the story. When did that desire start?
I mean, I think already at the age when you can kick off your career, you kind of only want to start somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, the industry, the big companies that can offer support in your career and in your beginning of your career are quite a lot of them. They are already starting to pitching at the university. So you kind of feel supported in taking the next step, but it's kind of okay, who should I kind of decide on was one of the challenges, I think, for many, but for me it was quite obvious. So so when I had the chance to apply to do a master thesis at IKEA IT and got it, then yeah, of course I knew what my next step was, but it was still, I had so much respect for the workplace, and everyone I thought was so smart and knowledgeable, and I felt so small. But I had my goal and my focus. I should get this job because I decided that 10 years ago. So I just continued to just strive and have a really good attitude against work and my colleagues during the master thesis job. Just wanted to kind of always be on time, always come prepared, always come with questions, and just make sure that you stick kind of in people's mind, and
But
that you build up like a trust with people.
but why not stay as a software engineer? Why you see
Yeah,
plenty of people who stay as a software engineer for 20 years. Even
yeah.
some of the freelancers we work with. I'm a Java developer in 2000. I'm a Java developer now. Why not that route, and why engineering manager?
So I also have that very connected to my personality. I've always been taking care of my friends
Mm.
somehow in school, or being the captain of the football team, uh, when we went out clubbing or whatever. I've always been the responsible one, taking care of people and just making sure that we deliver in the end, and that things are turning out well. So I've always had this responsibility with me. So it felt natural for me to, of course, it felt natural for me to kind of apply for a leadership position pretty early in my career, but
Mm.
I didn't have to, because when they did the first personality test when I was recruited as a software engineer, they saw that I had a leadership profile. So when a consultant was leaving his job as the problem manager, as we called it, more or less the manager for the support of the application support then back in the days, they said, Mats, you have a leadership profile. You're only 23, but what the heck, do you want to try? So I was actually, I worked for like a half a year as a software engineer before I started to lead people in that. And it was pretty funny. I was then kind of telling people who had more than 20 years of experience what to do. But I did it in a way that I motivated them to help me and to help solve problems mainly. Not only to deliver new features all the time, but also actually take responsibility for the customer experience. So I actually they thought it was so funny. I was so young, so they called me Mats 23 for quite a few years. Like
Matt's 23.
Mats 23. So I was very connected to my age then, and that stuck for at least a good 10 years, I think. So but I've just felt that is, I mean, why not combine the best things, just technology and leading people to solve problems, and to solve problems is the best thing in the world for me. So
Matt, when you took the role, I see quite often, and I'm sure a lot of listeners right now will be have seen engineering managers almost have to do two roles. Yeah, where they're still expected to do 80-90% coding and 80-90% management, and get paid only 100%. Yeah. How was it when you started? Did you have the freedom, or were you expected to go above and beyond?
um, I um, I'm very effective in
Mm,
my work, I would say. I always structure things so I can get the most of every day. So of course, I've been working many hours, especially when it's new things coming in. But I could actually go home every day after being working 8 hours and feeling I've done exactly what I should do today.
yeah.
And just by delegating, by trying to optimize things, by having clear expectations, you can be very effective at work. So I worked out like this structure to never have any kind of, if you're gone for a week, I mean, my emails will be hand managed very quickly after that period. For example, I don't want to have a backlog in any case. So I
Mm.
figured out ways how to deal with a big load of incoming things all the time. So and I think
Um,
that
w-
has
w-
made me also appreciate it, because I've always been very active in responding, in being active towards the organization and the people around me. That I've been pulling out question or answers rapidly for 16 years now in the web area, so they know who to turn to and who to trust, kind of to have at least some direction or some guideline or some help for them.
and for those listeners who are the Friday evening still has 65 emails to go through, what one piece of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I would absolutely focus first on your organization. So if you have people in your organization sending emails, like people
Mm,
reporting to you, for example, or at least part of your unit somehow, prioritize them, take care of them,
yeah.
and then skip the rest for that evening. Uh, And of course, people say, but shouldn't you focus on your business stakeholders or your managers and whatnot? No, take care of your organization first. It will be the best decision because they will help you in responding to the business stakeholders and your managers with good results. And then they can understand that, yeah, Mats is busy with his organization delivering good results. So just having that mindset of
Mm.
prioritizing your organization rather than prioritizing those above you. I mean, of course you need to have respect for them as well, but take care of the organization and then skip the rest and take a vacation or take the weekend. Kind of. That's my recommendation. So
That's good advice. Right,
yeah.
I'm gonna take us into the past here. Right, so you were fortunate enough that you had a natural leadership, and that was seen on a recruitment test or a onboarding test, let's say. But during those, let's say from 23 to 28, yeah, software engineer, dream company, probably felt a lot of pressure, engineering manager, quite young. What were the challenges, and how did you deal with them?
So the problem or the challenges, I mean, is to motivate people to I mean, to help out and to complete things or to communicate and to focus. So I've been
Mm,
working all along my career with finding motivators in people. Some people need you need to get closer to people in order for making it easier to get the job done, to delegate something. So I've been working a lot with building strong relationships throughout the career. Um, and also in some cases that's been combined with gaming, for example, that we had Friday gamings every lunch. On Fridays we had gaming, and then I tried to make sure that so many people that I had a connection to was invited to just build up a relationship, because that would just work out well later on as well when I would need some support or when they need support from me. So just trying to find ways to build relationships has kind of been my way forward, and I think it has been a successful one because yeah, it's the people that started to build relationships now. They are leaders all across IKEA now, so
mm.
that has helped me every year, every month, almost every day to kind of have built these strong relationships from the start with just finding stuff outside of work that can make us friends, more or less. So it's very, very important. I think it's just you should be professional, but don't sit alone. Try to be as social as you can, and try to find things to kind of make people. Uh, I mean, be happy around you. So
I'm sure there's a few people listening now that are probably thinking, which games do the people at IKEA play?
so we were playing StarCraft, and we were playing Modern Warfare, especially the number two one. I know. So and then we also had one group playing Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle Earth. And we still do that once every Christmas. We gather around a big table in the Malmö and play. So we bring our laptops, and it's just so much fun. So
So early on, you realised the fundamental challenge was finding how to motivate people, and
yes,
you saw the root to that was building relationships.
building a
Was there any other kind of glaring challenges early on in your career that you had to
I mean,
find?
I've also something that I've been very passionate about is also the commercial aspect of things. So that we're actually part of a money making machine. That we're here to make money for the company. That we are a direct impact on the e-commerce. So to have to always think about the value that we are providing to our business, and to share, for example, how much we're selling every day or every minute or every hour has always been something I would like to share with people, so they understand that perhaps this is something. If we have a problem, we need to fix it pretty fast because we're losing money. So so that has also been a motivator that I've been using as well. Just make sure that people are understanding that they're part of our business, that IKEA retail business. And sometimes when you're working in technology, it's you kind of get disconnected from that. But you are there for a reason. You're there to make the retail business grow and to operate. So and that made me also. I mean, when I through my career, I got more and more responsibility for the operations of IKEA, IKEA.com mainly then, through vendors or through our own capacity. Just with that thinking, making sure that we are um, that yeah, we need to make sure that we are not losing money, that we're still gaining money. And then I was looking into all of these KPIs or metrics we have out there. Okay, how can we make everything better? How can we make a customer's experience better on the website? So just starting to deep dive in creating performance budgets, trying to make sure that we were faster than 2 seconds in order for customers not to feel that nothing was happening with the website. So already early on started to really be an ambassador for this and pushing this out to everyone, making sure everyone understands this. But people understand money, so that's something that I could always bring up. But still making it with the humbleness and of course we should have a really good work-life balance connected to it as well. So it's not like we should stress ourselves to death every day. We should have a positive stress. Like the more good things we do, the more improvements we do, the better the company will be. But it's you need to have the combination of that commerciality and work-life balance.
I was going to say culture. The word gets thrown about quite a lot nowadays, probably because of the importance of it. How has culture developed in your mindset in terms of how teams should effectively operate over the last 20 years?
So I mean, it has been a huge change at IKEA the last 16, 17 years I've been around. First, I was one of the last software engineers to be recruited. Before our management started to think, we shouldn't do this work on our own. We shouldn't have that capability to build our own software. That should be done by freelancers. And that grew into kind of becoming a challenge that all of a sudden IKEA didn't have the capability to build software. And then the next step to actually start outsourcing was the next step was close to it. So we started to outsource and did that a couple of times, which made us into a managed control organization, just kind of making sure that the vendors were delivering according to a scope. Thousands of requirements to be fulfilled. So we became kind of a centralized bureaucracy company, kind of, who only had money as a motivator instead of the IKEA culture to build great software with great teams. So, but we are right now in a totally different world. Since 3-4 years back, we're building up our own software engineering capability. We have recruited hundreds of software engineers and engineering managers. That is now all focused on delivering then products in an empowered product team setup with product engineers, data, and UX as one product team, where we're delegating problems rather than feature requests. So we are onto something really, really good. I think the efficiency we have now of solving problems for our retail business is like 5-fold or probably even higher. And we can also work with our budgets in a better way and I mean, we are demystifying everything as well. I mean, what part of our landscape is not demystified now? I mean, we
Mm.
have so many more brains now that can make everything just fit together, and we can replace really, really expensive licensed platforms with their own software now. And that's kind of a natural thing now. So now when we are modernizing, we're actually not buying other platforms. We are building our own platforms in a very
Right.
future-proven way, which is a very, very motivating place to be. Um, so
So when you're bringing in the engineering managers now, yeah,
yeah,
what kind of culture do you expect them to breed within their
yeah.
teams, and what type of people do you actually look for?
So I do look for people with a great attitude. I mean,
Mm.
how they are behaving towards me and others already in the recruitment phase is super important. I mean, if they are not active enough, if they are not like optimistic, if they're not creative or I mean driven as well or hungry, then then I wonder if this is the right person. So already just not looking into any other aspect, just what's the attitude of this person. That is a game changer for me, because that tells so much about what will be done later on if the person gets CEO. So like, what's their work ethic? How's their problem solving? Will they be responsible and so on? Really, really key factors for a leader. So I know for a software engineer, we need to look with a different lens, because we have introverts who are perhaps not that can't perhaps show their attitude in the most extrovert way, perhaps that I'm describing it now.
Hmm.
And I also have engineer managers that are a bit more introverts, but more the attitude towards work, actually, that you want to make a difference. That's super important. Um, and because if you don't have that attitude, and then the culture in the teams will also be impacted by it. So um,
How I was going to ask actually, Mats. You're obviously in a different role now than an engineering manager as such. Yeah,
yeah,
you're much wider scope. Um,
yes.
how's the change been from that time where you had 6, 7, 8 developers to what you do now? Kind of what's been the challenges on that part of the
Mm.
journey?
Yeah, so I already like more than 10 years ago, I've been helping out managing hundreds of people. So
Mm.
the shift was already, I mean, we ramped up quite heavily
Yeah.
already at start for me. The first years it was like 6, 7, etc., and then it went up to hundreds, kind of when I was starting to work with the head of the web department back in those days. So I became kind of the sidekick, the kind of all. We didn't say the deputy; we called it assistant, which was perhaps a name I didn't like so much. But I was, um, yeah, I was into all the details in both development and the delivery and the support afterwards, just making sure that everything was just working out. So I've been kind of in this position to work kind of with on the macro level for quite some time. But it's super important then when you have so many people that you learn how to delegate, and everyone can delegate. That's not the problem. But how can you delegate and still understand what's the outcome kind of your delegation? So I've been
Mm.
always following up on the things that I've been delegating. And you don't need to make so many comments per thing you delegate, or what you want to really focus on the next time you meet that person. But it's just to have that you delegate responsibility, but you're accountable still. You can't just let it go. You can't let it. And but if you delegate with responsibility, that you will make the person you delegate to grow, because you will be then seen as interested in that person's job, the responsibility you have delegated. So you will not only make your life better, your work life, because you have delegated some piece of it, but you will also make the person that you delegated to grow, because it will be recognized, it will be exposed. And I always wanted other people to be exposed for their work rather than me. So if we have an opportunity for someone to share something good that we have done, a milestone, then I don't want to be the one saying that. I want the person I delegated to be the one on the stage. So sometimes I have the opportunity to be on stage as well, but I always ask the person that has done the job to do it instead, because that's how I work. So.
How are you? Are you thinking about the size of your organization? Developing leaders constantly is a necessity, never mind a challenge. You talked about building relationships, you talked about delegation, but is there any other keys to building great leaders?
Building great leaders. I mean, it's to work with expectations, I think, to I mean, I've seen throughout my years where leaders have failed, and it's when they have not put out clear expectations and goals, as everyone is asking for, don't have clear goals. But I think that's not the case anymore to that extent. At least it could always, of course, be improved. But just work with expectations. It's super important. Doesn't have to be so much, but I mean, everyone just needs to understand kind of what's expected in order to understand if they're doing a good job or not. So the people who are not doing that, they're not working with feedback, is will probably not accelerate their career in leadership or in management in some way.
Perfect. Okay, I'm conscious we've got some questions that have been coming in.
Yeah.
So if you've got any further questions, this is the point where I'm going to start asking them to Mats. A question from Nirmal Kumar.
Yeah.
I think we touched on this, but maybe in response to Nirmal, what aspects one needs to focus on as a software engineer in their journey to become an engineering manager? Yeah, if you could just answer Nirmal,
Yes.
is one
So
thing.
I mean, if you have that ambition, you need to show it in the team. You need to be the one taking responsibility. I mean, to if the engineering manager is not available, I mean, take lead in the stand-up. Take lead in doing the backlog refinement or whatever type of activity that's normally landing on the EM. I mean, just try to fill the gaps, be available, and also try to represent the team when communicating to others. Just try to expose yourself and show what you're made of. Because if you don't do that, why should the EM bring you forward as a talent or as a that's someone that we should start to work with education wise to become a leader or an EM. So it's just to do the job. Show yourself, show what you're made of.
Perfect. A message from Sophie. So, what's the best advice you would give to people when leading people through change and difficult times?
Yes, I actually have a recent example in my work at the moment where we have conflicts of interest, and then it's the best thing you can do is to just to listen as to everyone involved in a conflict if you have the opportunity, but try to listen to as many as possible and don't rush it. Don't rush to the trigger. Try to let your subconscious do a lot of the work. What should I say? What should I communicate? What should I do? Don't react too fast. So that is kind of my own kind of tool now after I've gone through several leadership educations with focus on just listening. So listening on a deeper level, try just to kind of extract everything, the feelings, the opinions, everything. But try to get that from as many as possible, and then let your subconscious work. And then all of a sudden, when you're in the shower, you have the solution. So that is something I highly recommend to work with. So.
Perfect. A question from Johan. Back when you started at IKEA, what language were you coding in? And then secondly, follow up, what languages and what cool things are IKEA doing at the moment?
So I started my scripting kind of career with PHP and JavaScript. Moved over to Perl and Python a bit. It was no Perl, I think. So more like scripting languages, and then it was XML and XSLT and XHTML. So I was a front ender. That was my profile. And then, so what cool things we're working on right now? I mean, what are we not working with? So on IKEA.com, on the retail website, we have 50 product teams that is working on working with delivery to 50 markets. So we have, and with the markets also having capabilities of teams and local extension solutions. We have 100 teams kind of operating IKEA.com today. So just to try to navigate that, what's going on there is quite challenging. So we have demos on a bi-weekly matter, and then on a weekly matter we also have a product update, as we call it, where each of the customer experience areas are sharing what they're doing. So what I'm focusing on in my, so I'm kind of the matrix manager then for potentially thousands of people that is working with something to the website, but I'm responsible for the platform, which is architectured in a way that everyone can have a release independent delivery. So every team can work on a fragment of the website without it being impacted by others, which I think is super cool. So we can have 50 teams then working on the same page without having conflicts. So that's super cool. But what we are working on, we are navigating into the future, looking into how can we deliver kind of a more dynamic delivery. Right now, we are delivering the same website to everyone. Can we make it more into a personalized one instead? So, but how do we do that with the scale we have? I mean, we have 4 billion visits to the website on a yearly basis. I mean, we have like 27 hits per second or so. So it's so much traffic. So how can you deliver different alternatives of the website with that scale? That is a problem that I'm super engaged with, and we're exploring new edge technologies to find the right compute for that. So I think that is the coolest thing we're doing now, to personalize and also then enable large scale A/B testing as well.
4 billion. I think 1 billion of those are my mother. She loves that. She's a big fan of IKEA. So awesome. You probably. Let's have a look. So a question from our newsletter. When you do make use of tech data product freelancers, what do you look for in a freelancer that you might not look for in a full-time employee?
So right now, I think since I've been converting quite a lot of freelancers, so I've recruited quite a few freelancers, and I'm sorry for that. So,
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. As long as you hire some more.
Because we kind of have made our recruiting process for freelancers almost the same as for employees. But of course, the things that we are which are different is of course the more softer things, like we could prioritize a specialist skill over perhaps team building skills in some ways. But whenever we have done it too much, it has been a problem. So because we don't want to have brilliant jerks either. So because that's toxic for the teams. So we need to kind of
Yeah.
find a way forward where also the recruiting managers, normally the engineering managers reporting to me, are just putting their expectations out, and they're doing their assessments, and they're using their gut feeling if this is a nice person or not. Because having nice persons is really key for IKEA. That's part of our culture. We should be very nice to each other, and it should not be a hostile environment, and we should not compete with each other. And we really want to build teams now with all kind of skill sets as well. So we have started accelerator programs in order to bring in more junior software engineers as well to the teams. I mean, a couple of years ago, it was only mid-level and seniors. And now we have a lot of juniors, which is amazing for the diversity of the teams and also how you see things, to get the kind of a new generation coming in. So we're building new software with this as well. But it's of course, you need to work with your capacity when you're bringing in juniors in that sense. But I've been always telling the team, so it's better to build for the future than stress at the moment. So we need to reduce the sprints of it when we have new people to take care of, so they can be productive as well. So we always need to work with that balance.
A question from Keshav. How is the day of an engineering manager? What's a standard day look like?
Standard day for me then, which is one level up, head of engineering. It's a lot of meetings. I think we're very good at having meetings, I think, but we try to filter them from the software engineers as much as possible. But we are looking into a lot of course, what should be our strategy, what should be our roadmap, what type of tech debt do we have, how do we work with our DevOps metrics, so how is our operational state, and then it's a lot of course, bureaucracy, looking into, I mean, right now we're in a startup talk phase, so starting up the year, we have a financial year starting in September. So putting out goals for personal development and also performance goals. That takes quite a lot of time now. And we really have a big focus on that the people we recruit should have 20% of their time in learning. So, and I think we're quite aggressive in that, actually. But that doesn't mean that 20% of your time should be off-site or should be in a learning platform. It could also be that you are learning on the job. But we also are having boot camps internally to just let people accelerate in learning a new framework language or being excellent in cloud. So we have a serverless program now. So we're spending a lot of time on that. So just to orchestrate that, and also to orchestrate cool things like hackathons, is also of course taking up time. And meeting vendors, taking care of making sure that for those things in, for example, an infrastructure, that we have deliveries in, that relationship is working. And then of course we need to report. We need to report to our management on financials, on people, on deliverables, on OKRs. So I'm kind of I'm a debrief guy right now. I'm debriefing management, but also I'm debriefing my organization. So I'm talking a lot at the moment. I have a lot of one-to-ones, which I love. It's the best thing. So
okay. Yeah. And then finally, if I'm not one of the people at IKEA listening to this, because I can't reapply, or maybe they could reapply internally. But if I want to try and work for IKEA, how do I go about it?
Can you please repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, if I'm one of the listeners who's listening now who are thinking, I like this guy, I'd like to I'd like to be a part of Matt's organization or even IKEA as a whole, how would I get in touch?
Yes, so you can of course reach out on LinkedIn. But please then write a message that is appealing as well to me, like because I get so many LinkedIn requests. It's crazy how much I get, and I normally only get a request sent and then never any messages from that person, even if they want to network. So,
Right, okay.
so if you want to connect, please write why and have share your focus or share your goals. I mean, why would you like to work with me and IKEA and so on? That would help a lot for me to prioritize the person and to engage, of course. But we have always an open ad out on joininca.com. It's our recruitment portal. And if you want to be a freelancer, you can. I guess you can reach out to Chris. And the evolution. Yeah.
Or Sophie, or Gemma,
Yes.
or Charlotte, all those
Exactly.
people.
So and we have. I mean, since we have the best of the best, I would say, in the industry, in software engineering, at least in this region of the world, and we have some turnover people as well that is working to learn something new in 2 to 3 years, and then they're moving on. So we have some turnover as well. So there's always kind of opportunities as well to take a spot in one of the 13 teams in my area. So,
Mats, you've been an absolute pleasure to speak with. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And thank you to all of those listeners who sent the questions. For those questions we've not had time to respond, or if you send them in, we will endeavour to get those answered. But thank you so much, Mats.
Thank you so much, Chris. It has been a pleasure as well. Take care out there.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.